Jamil Damji.
After 7,000 wholesale deals, I decided that maybe it was time for me to do something different. We all can make a difference. We can all do something to change our environments, to change our communities for the better.
I tell people all the time in wholesale real estate, when you do a deal, you're out of business. Every deal you do, you're out of business. And what I mean by that is you're not getting paid again until you transact again. And that's probably one of the downsides to our industry. I mean, it's great because it's a high cash producing model, right? But you got to do it again if you want to keep making money.
Yeah. Here's the reality. No business owner, especially the ones in real estate, are ever going to get out unscathed. We are going to run into problems. You're going to run into bad deals, bad partnerships, bad opportunities, bad people, bad materials, bad all of it, especially bad timing. Now, the reality is if you're going to be a real estate investor for the long term, there's no way that you're going to get away without having this happen to you at least sometime. Now, when things turn and you get into a bad deal, bad partnership, bad property, bad materials, bad timing, whatever that may be, you have to be able to pivot out of that so that your career in real estate isn't over. Why is the wholesale industry under so much fire? You want to know why it's under so much fire? Because we as a group, we as a business model, we as a community have told so many lies. That's one of the things that I have been trying to do over the last decade that I've been in the United States wholesaling. Also, I've been wholesaling for over 20 years. But in the last decade, at least in the United States, one of the things that I've been talking about more than anything else has been the transparency, the honor, the reality, the truth that should be in this business model. The fact that we are under so much regulation, that we are under so much pressure is a result of the lies. Post-pandemic, we all saw what went on. Since 2020, rent has gone up 25%. That's a lot of money. And in high population metros, it's gone up 30 to 40%. I've seen it everywhere. It's getting worse and worse. It's not getting better, it's getting worse and worse. And in places like Phoenix, Tampa, Dallas, it's just completely unaffordable. Over 30% of an individual family's income is going to housing. That is just way too much money. Now, take with that the fact that we've had unprecedented shortages in housing inventory, and it's continuing to compound. We're over 6.5 million units short. And because of the way that interest rates have changed, builders aren't focusing on starter homes. They're focusing on the high-end luxury homes because they're able to get those deals done because those buyers aren't getting mortgages, they're paying cash. And so they don't have that problem with the interest rates. And then again, in markets like Phoenix and Dallas, that is driving up the demand for rental. Now, with that, because rates are so high, buyers can't qualify for as much as they could qualify for. And so the rental demand is starting to increase again. We're seeing that with these types of 7.5%, 6.5% rates, we're going to have more and more and more strain on the rental market. If you're a wholesaler, you're probably experiencing what we are all experiencing right now, which is buyer demand is down. So, your buyers, they've been having some problems. Let's talk about them. What have been some of the problems? Well, first, interest rates above 6%, 7% still. So if your buy and hold buyer right now is still sitting on the fence because the rates are so high, well then, friend, you have not yet spoke to them or shared with them the glories of co-living. So for all of your buy and hold buyers, you need to start educating them about co-living, letting them know that they can take a single family home and turn it into a multi-family home, taking single family rents that are averaging right now $2,400 a month to rents that are bringing in over $6,000 a month gross. Go from $2,400 to $6,000 a month in the same home. So if you have not yet learned about co-living and understood how co-living can change your single family home into a multi-family property, click on this video right here where you'll learn about co-living. You can send that to your buyers, explain to them how co-living is the superior buy and hold strategy. So for any of your buyers right now who are in short-term rentals, in midterm rentals, or even long-term rentals, this is the game plan for them. This is how they are going to get out of the $200 to $500 a month trap that they're seeing right now, or the negative cash flow trap that they're seeing with these interest rates, and get into a much better investment strategy. You might be thinking, well, all right, Jamil, you said that we need about $70,000 to do one of these co-living homes. Well, what happens with all of the rest of the money that's required to do one of these projects? You can't tell me that you only need $70,000 and not access to anything else. And actually, that is true. You will need to have some type of private financing or hard money financing, all of which we will help you connect the dots to in the Housing Alchemy community. But private financing is very, very, very available, and lots of hard money lenders, lots of private money lenders have been jumping into these co-living deals because of the aggressive returns that they are offering. Again, upwards of 20, 25, 30% cash on cash returns. These returns are just not seen in any other strategy in real estate at the moment. And so lots of investors are flocking towards this. And I wouldn't be surprised if we would see even funds starting to get developed in the upcoming future just because of how aggressive these returns are. What do you think is the future of this model?
Well, I think co-living is going to be a big part of models because, you know, when you think about affordability and individuals being able to provide a place, not just individuals off the street that are independent, but also just agencies, nonprofits, and service providers in areas where individuals are coming out of incarceration, re-entering into society, coming off the streets, homeless, or needing support and services provided while providing a temporary housing situation is going to be huge.
It all started again with my dog, walking my dog. So he was telling you a story about how I was walking my dog. I did my first wholesale deal. Well, I'm going to take you back to about 18 months ago. I'm walking my dog again in my neighborhood. And I take a look around the corner, and there's this really, really old Astro van. You know Ford Astro vans? And I looked at it because I was like, oh, Astro flipping, Astro van, you know, that's cool. And it was like a relic to me. I hadn't seen one of these things in a minute. So I paid attention, looked out of place because it was an old van, and I'm in a nice neighborhood that doesn't have old vans in it, and so it was just out of place. Well, I continued walking my dog, and the next day, I went out a little earlier than I normally do, and the van was live. All the doors were open, and I saw that there was a family there. There was a man standing outside, putting on a suit, and the trunk was open, and these two kids are playing in the trunk. And there's a mother there playing with the kids. And so I'm realizing that these guys are living in the van. So I walk up. Now immediately they're off put, right? They're like, leave us alone. We don't want any trouble with you. And I disarm them. I said, guys, I'm not here to bother you at all. Maybe I can be of help. No, what's happening? And he just opens up. He's like, we lived in a house in the west side of Phoenix, and one day I get a knock on the door, and somebody hands me a document. It's a process server, and it's an eviction notice. Apparently, the people who owned our house for the last 15 years decided to sell our house to an investor, and they never told us that they were selling the house. And now we gotta leave. The guy was super nice. He just said, you know, we're sorry. We're gonna flip the house. There's nothing we can do. It sounded really familiar to me. Because how many times has a seller asked me to do the same thing? Just handle the tenant. How many times have you guys heard that before in an investor deal? Happens all the time. And so I'm asking them, well, what's your plan? Well, we're looking at the rental market right now, and there's just nothing we can afford. I mean, he hadn't increased our rent in almost a decade. And I just can't afford what they're charging right now, so we're living in the car. And I don't know why I asked, but I asked. Can you tell me what address you were living at? And so he tells me. I walk away, open my phone, I get into my email, I put that address in there. I wholesaled the house. Full circle. Over 7,000 homes I've made more expensive. Just being honest. And so again, my dog leads me to the pivot in my life, right? I gotta face this. And so today, guys, I wanna make a case for affordable housing. We need it. We realize that the entire landscape has changed, and we have to be a part of the solution. Yes, we are doing what we do as investors, and of course, I'm not against gentrification. I'm not telling you wholesaling is wrong. This is a part of progress, but we have to be able to be a part of the solution. Balance is required, and so for every house we take off the market, we gotta put a unit back on the market for people to live in. This one is gonna probably shock the real estate investing world, but I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to come out of the closet. I sold Keekley.
and so did my sister. We have exited from Keighley. It was the right time. It was in alignment with my future, with my current reality, with my current goals. I love wholesaling. Wholesaling is a beautiful business. It gave me my start. It's where I made my first millions. It's how I changed my life. I'll always be grateful to wholesaling as a business model, but it didn't align with me anymore. After 7,000 wholesale deals, I decided that maybe it was time for me to do something different. I made 7,000 homes more expensive. Well, maybe I can make 7,000 affordable units in return. So that's the reason why I'm so dedicated to this business model. That's why I changed my entire focus. That's why I've been so 100% all in on co-living, because I know that there's an opportunity here for me. I know that God brought me into that situation on purpose, and my dog again turned me on to the next phase of my life. All of us have an opportunity because we know what we're doing in real estate here. We all can make a difference. We can all do something to change our environments, to change our communities for the better. We don't have to look at real estate as a zero-sum game. I don't have to win and you don't have to lose. All of us can win. Everybody can win, and all of us. The marginalized, the people who need us, those nonprofits that have those folks that they're taking care of, but at the same time, the investors who are risking their hard-earned money for a return. Everybody can get a win here. So I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm like a quarter of the way through our 120 city tour, Pace Morby and I, traveling all across the country, visiting every state, every city that we can. Wherever there is sub-2 community members, you will find Pace and I over the next few months. And we're having a great time meeting all kinds of awesome people and really getting to connect with a bunch of folks who are doing good business, people who are not in the community but want to do business and are trying to like level up. I, in the middle of tour, left on a Saturday night and I flew to Los Angeles to propose. Now, this was a really difficult thing to pull off because my girl Saba is not only an absolute like fox, she is so gorgeous. She's like a 13 out of 10 in the hot scale. She's a 15 out of 10 on the smart scale. I mean, she's just 100 out of 10 on everything. She's just the girl of my dreams. And so it was such a beautiful night for all of us. My daughter was there, Charisma flew in, and so I'm getting married, guys. She said yes, and we're gonna get married in May in LA. It's gonna be amazing. And if you're wondering, like, man, that's pretty soon. Well, yeah, you know, one thing I can tell you I'm good at. I know when I've spotted a good deal. I got a good deal with her. I had to put it under contract, non-refundable earnest money, close in 7 days. That's the kind of energy you gotta bring to a good deal. So I'm not gonna this up. I'm not gonna let some 6 foot tall guy come in and swoop in behind me. Not that she would even give him the time of day, because it's me, right? Playing, I don't know. But I'm not gonna mess this up. So getting married in May, I'm trying to be pregnant by June. That's the plan, because I really want a little baby. I want to grow my family. I want to be involved in raising a young little baby. I want to like do all the things, right? I love my dogs. My daughter, Charisma, she's 16 now, so she's getting older, and she won't let me hold her like a baby. She thinks it's weird. So what am I supposed to do, right? I got this like baby fever. So that's what we're gonna do. So wish us luck.